I'm going to show you the original idea, the OG, for what we're going to attempt in this video lesson. It started off with lemons and people did go a little bit gaga because I was using this masking fine liner. And as I showed you a little earlier, it had this needle point. And then researching for this class, I decided to use something a little bit different, and I did this version and I thought it was just a little bit too lumpy bumpy for me. So I went back to using the that fine liner, but I know many of you probably don't have it. So I've come up with a different version, this one, where I've used a dip pen, and I want to show you don't have to create some of these lines using a dip pen. So let's get started. In this instance, what might be worth doing as we are dealing with outline is to draw very faintly with our pencil where we are going to be including these outlines. Half a slice there, and you don't have to do the same layout as me. You don't have to do oranges. You might want to do lemons. It's up to you. So we've got a whole orange here, and I liked having a stalk with leaves coming off it because I liked the pop of green. I'm using a mixture of whole oranges, sliced oranges, quartered oranges and little segments just to fill up this space in a really balanced pattern almost. Masking fluid, washing up liquid. I'm going to try and show you a few different ways of applying the line. When I first started using the dip pen, I thought it was my favourite way, but I don't want you to feel that limited by that. So I'll just start off by using the dip pen. I'm going to leave the leaves because I'm actually going to use a brush for that. I'm just going to do this last orange outline, and then I'm going to try and switch over to some other applicators, see what happens. Hold on, I'm just going to add some little dots. Actually, pencil sharpener, paper clip. That's not too bad, but I don't have very much control, as obviously holding a dip pen. So, but that looks nice. What I will do is use a very thin brush. And then here, that's pretty good. I think this is a really good alternative. It really is up to you what applicator you want to use. You can use the Frisk fine liner if you have that, or you can have a small brush, dip pen. You might want to swap and change like you've seen me doing here, depending on how you feel. Okay, so that's the outlines done. I do want to add the leaves now. So these, and also I want to fill in the insides of the slices. Now in my original I just did them as outlines, but I just wanted to play around a bit more with my brush. So I just want to make a series of strokes, not too many. Oh, that's probably a little bit too much, but just so that it looks like little indications of segments. And what I'm doing is going from the inside out and pressing a little bit harder, going out towards the outer rim. Don't want to touch that outline. That's what I did in one of the tests, and I didn't think it looked as nice. I'm filling up the negative space, so the space around all the orange pieces with tiny segments of orange. This is now dried very nicely. Just double check everything. And you can see the line work is slightly different where I applied it with a dip pen and where I applied it with a very small brush. The next stage, we're going to paint all of this in yellowy orange, and the colours I recommend for that are cadmium yellow and a cadmium orange. just really roughly. So let's just get started on this. So I'll show you what I mean. So there's a bit of orange there, and next to that is going to be a bit of yellow. Maybe I'll even add a bit of the Windsor yellow or a lemon yellow. And we do want to keep it very vibrant. Don't water down your watercolors too much, because we want these oranges to really sing. What I want to do to add a bit of dimensionality to some of my whole oranges is just to dab a bit more orange pigment to maybe some of the outside areas. And because it's damp, it will keep spreading like that, and it's going to look fabulous. And don't worry too much about filling it beautifully. And that is all we're going to do for now. We just have to let it dry, and then I will show you the next stage. Now this initial orange wash has dried, we want to add a green wash in the negative space. So around all the orange pieces. I'll show you what I mean. What I need to mix up is a dark green, and I'm using a Viridian here. Tiny bit of Payne's grey, just to deepen it, and also some sap green. You want to avoid going inside the masking fluid lines. I know I keep saying it, but do be mindful of the weather conditions when you are painting this. I am finding I'm having to work a lot faster because I do like it when the pigments merge together, and in order to achieve that, I'm having to just really get my skates on so that I can, I'm going to show you in a minute. If I was to pick up, just to emphasize my point, if I was just to pick up a sap green on my brush and add it here, because I want it to merge with some of the Viridian already on here, I have to introduce it fast before the pigments start drying, and then it won't produce some of the lovely effects that I love to cultivate. Now we have to let this green layer dry before we have our big reveal, and I'm sure it is going to be totally worth it. Just going to check certain areas are dry, because if they're not, I'll end up spreading watercolor over my painting, and I don't want that. I am satisfied that it is fully dry, so let's make a start. So this orange was one that I applied with a brush, and I remember this orange was one that I applied with a dip pen, and I noticed when I was applying the green wash in particular, it was easier to go around the lines applied with a dip pen. So that's something worth noting for future reference. Overall, I don't think that there is very much difference in quality.
Bit of this masking tape off.
There is just one last thing we need to do, and that is to fill in the stalks and the leaves and the various quarter slices. So first of all, I'm going to mix up a bright green. I think I'm going to use a little bit of Windsor yellow, or just a cadmium yellow as a base, and add a drop of sap green, and that should be enough. And you can see how it does contrast nicely against that dark background. So I'm glad we did go in as dark as we did. Here's the finished piece. A few of the bits are still drying, but you get an overall feel for how it's going to turn out, and I'm really thrilled with it. It's a very jolly piece. I love the contrast between the dark green background and the light green of the stems and the leaves. I just want to pause here between these two whole oranges, the one on the left and the one on the right. They were outlined using a dip pen and the brush, if you may remember. There are advantages and disadvantages for using them. I think one of the things that I learned was with the dip pen, it was easier to paint around it when I was applying that green background. However, I really love that quality of line. So it's really up to you and dependent on what tools you have.